Hello, everybody, and welcome to my fifth installment of coverage for the Lost Woods Draft League. This week, coming off of a 3-1 record, we're going up against my good friend Mohammed, coach of the Worcester WooSawks. I know this week is going to be a good one. To start, for context, this feels like the first team that doesn't have much of like a defined mode to it, so it's very difficult to prepare for specific tech because really anything's on the table for Muhammad here. But let's just get into it. Let's take a good look at his team and let's see what I've come up with in hopes to defeat it. So, starting off right off the bat, we have the two pseudo legendary powerhouses, Dragapult and Metagross. Very, very tough damage. Very good bulk, at least on Metagross's side. Dragapults can be mitigated with the Hitmontop's Intimidate. Good speed control in Murkrow with that Prankster Tailwind. Also having added speed control in moves like Quash or something. Alchemy to decorate the stats of the two Pokemon who can't have their stats lowered is definitely something to be considered in my prep. Shiftry combines really well with Murkrow, and the dark coverage makes it very difficult for me to have an all-around hitter that can hit both the Dragapult and Metagross and also the dark types. There's Lapras, the new ad. With its water coverage, it can really throw a stake in my plans. It's kind of like the one thing that I was very ill prepped for, only because I kind of realized that my dock was outdated and didn't account for that transaction like a good halfway through my prep. Mimikyu, a good surefire Trick Room setter. You slap a Mental Herb on that and it's just going to set up, or it can taunt me and stop my Trick Room from going up. Blossom for a slow, sort of bulky support, being able to click Pollen Puff, like Giga Drain. It can even become a sweeper with its own Quiver Dance, I believe. Armarouge is just difficult to deny Mon. It can run Flash Fire to stop like Masui and Arcanine in its tracks, or it can run Weak Armor to really capitalize off of some shenanigans. And Spiritomb, also a late ad. I kind of am not sure what this mon is capable of. I'm just hoping that what I came up with will sort me out against it. But anyways, let's go ahead and look at the pace that I came up with to kind of counter the WooSawks for this week. So right off the bat, I decided to lean back into the classic Porygon 2 that, you know, it has never done me wrong. A little bit bulkier, a little bit, yeah, especially on the physical side, because I was mainly worried about denying the two pseudo legendaries from getting good damage on me. Running a Terra type of Dark, as it's very good coverage into those two and also stops Prankster Taunt with Terra Blast, Ice Beam, Recover, and Trick Room. Ice Beam is just mainly decent coverage into the Murkrow, the Dragapult, just, you know, keeping it simple. Crabominable makes their debut performance this week, going with the Hyper Cutter ability, so I would be unable to drop. My attack would not be dropped, and I can just do very solid damage under Trick Room and in other conditions that I will describe in a little bit once I get to the other mons. Running Ice Hammer, Crab Hammer, Close Combat, and Knockoff with a Terra type of Water. It's very good defensively and offensively for me. The Crab Hammers will just crit through and destroy anything. Grimmsnarl running the Clear Amulet. I decided to go a similar sort of way with the Grimmsnarl as I did last week against the Cosmic Clefairies. Running just about the same spread with Fake Out, Bulk Up, Sucker Punch, and Play Rough. I realized without leftovers, I don't really need Protect as much, whereas I can kind of allow for my other game plans to flourish with Fake Out and using it as support. Hippowdon coming in as very, very bulky, a support that can also do a ton of damage if need be, with leftovers, Terra Grass, Protect, Yawn, High Horsepower, and Sand Tomb. Yawn Tomb is very good for just punishing the more passive plays, as I kind of exploited more passive plays last week and the week before. I want to continue that theme in being able to yawn and sand tomb things so that they can't just set up and completely overpower me. I need to be able to punish that, and Hippowdon had the perfect opportunity to do that. Poltegeist is another mon that is making its debut this week. I'm very excited for this, running it with the White Herb, Cursed Body ability, because weak armor kind of defeats the purpose of what I wanted to do with White Herb. Running Giga Drain, Shell Smash, Shadow Ball, and Baton Pass. Giga Drain was kind of my last minute adaptation to the Lapras. With a +2, I can just about like get... it'll be a 2-hit with Giga Drain. So running this super physically bulky mon allows for me to go for Shell Smash, White Herb that drops off, and then Baton Pass into basically anything on this team. Will absolutely love the +2 and everything. It's why I wasn't running like min speed Crabominable, because once I get it to +2 and it has all the attack boosts, all the speed boosts, like it can just start shredding in a way that is completely unprecedented. I think it's also a good way to bluff Trick Room for this week, because while like my team looks like it leans very much into it, I can also just completely overpower with Poltegeist S speed control. My kind of plan is to scout the Hitmontop if it brings Intimidate, which, based on how I've punished that with Empoleon, I don't see that happening fully. If there's no Intimidate, it kind of lets me run wild. Yeah, and then the last mon is going to be a very mixed role Hisuian Arcanine, running the Citrus Berry, Intimidate, Terra Fairy, and a very bulky and fast EV spread. What I wanted to do with this spread is make sure that it outspeeds Metagross by any means so that I can Will-O-Wisp it, and then dump the entire rest into bulk so that I can fully lean into this support role. But also, if I take the +2 from Shell Smash, I just basically slap on a ton of offense and a ton of defense, because between the +2 in attack and speed, I'm going to be hitting harder and moving faster than everything on the field. But with Intimidate and Sand up, I basically get an AV and a physical AV on me. Being able to kind of ignore any sort of offense while being able to output like an insane amount is something I'm really proud to have come up with this week. And rocking Protect, Will-O-Wisp, Rock Slide, and Flare Blitz. I didn't really see the use case for anything else on here. I think Will-O-Wisp was very good into the physical attackers, whose damage I can't really mitigate. So being able to double as both a support mon and a very undeniable offensive mon with the right momentum felt really good for this week. So that's the team that I came up with. We're going to see how it plays into Muhammad. I will be playing him after the Grassroots Local on Thursday night. So the video footage I'm going to be talking over will be Muhammad's point of view as he was able to record it off of his laptop. So I'll see you guys then. Okay, so Muhammad has sent me the raw footage of the match between us from our Thursday night local. To preface here, there was a bit of a technical difficulty game one. Muhammad did not realize that none of his Pokemon were holding items, and we were a bit too deep into the board state to really be able to rectify it, and we ended up just playing it out and then just went straight into games 2 and 3, being able to, we played it out. I felt very bad, but I'm going to show you guys sort of my thought process regardless of that. I was in fact like so locked in that I didn't even notice. But yeah, looking at this team, I kind of realized that my game plan for game 1 is to scout out the Hitmontop, see if it has Intimidate or not. And then if it doesn't, game 2, Poltegeist can go crazy. So I lead with Hisuian Arcanine and Grimmsnarl to kind of bluff like the classic like screens, click like Banded Rock Slide or AV Rock Slide, whatever. But let's just take a look. Muhammad decides to lead with Armor Rouge and Hitmontop. And this is when I realize not only are they not Intimidate, but nothing's like holding a Clear Amulet, which admittedly nothing was holding anything. But here I essentially just go for a Will-O-Wisp into the Hitmontop and a bulk up, I believe. Muhammad goes for double protect just to scout out, which was a very good move. I didn't really expect that, but it did reveal kind of how my Grimmsnarl was working. It did reveal a lot. So being able to do that, yeah, he now has like definitely much more information, and now he goes for a very gimmicky strat. He goes for the Terra Water Armor Rouge and side Mach Punch to proc weak armor, making him go faster than anything else, and then launching off a Meteor Beam. This strategy was really cool. It's very sad that he didn't get to fully pull it off because Meteor Beam was not on his Pokemon. But I just went for Sucker Punch into it and Will-O-Wisp into the Hitmontop. And I didn't even notice that like the move didn't go off. I just thought it had missed. But there that was. Here, I kind of really overthought. I was expecting Hitmontop to maybe be carrying Quick Guard. So there really wasn't... Like, I could have Sucker Punched, but I thought it was too obvious. I thought it was still part of his game plan that, like, Meteor Beam hadn't gone off or anything. So I just decided to play it safe and go for Play Rough and I believe a Flare Blitz into Hitmontop. I also go for Terra Steel into the Grimmsnarl because I thought that's where the Meteor Beam was headed, just to provide myself a bit of insurance. I protect here just to cover my bases with it. Mach Punch does nothing. And thankfully, I end up actually dodging the Meteor Beam. Play Rough takes out Armor Rouge. And now I'm up a Pokemon. Their Terra is gone. And I'm at full health and Hitmontop is burned. So I'm in a very good position here. So Mohamed has Murkrow and Metagross in the back. I'm pulling out Metagross. Right now, I am just realizing that Metagross definitely could have had Psychic Fangs, so I am very grateful that I didn't bring screens this week, because that definitely would have been tough. But he just goes for damage into the Hisuian Arcanine. I kind of figure this is going to be a bit more of a passive turn, so I want to set up another Bulk Up and punish a passive turn with Will-O-Wisp, and be able to just get more damage off next turn. Hitmontop goes for Coaching, which is honestly very cool. Like, Coaching plus Metagross is very hard for my team, and especially what I brought this week, to deal with, as it's much more physical heavy. This reveals my Citrus Berry. And now at +2, I can pretty safely just go for, like, a Sucker Punch Flare Blitz into the Metagross. But I do feel like that's a bit too obvious. I kind of forget what exactly I lock in this turn. But yeah, he just goes for another Coaching, which makes sense. Grimmsnarl, yeah, I double in, just making sure that it gets off the field. And then Coaching ends up failing. Man, I just love Hitmontop's little dance. He's so cool, man. Anyways, so now it's a burnt Hitmontop and Murkrow against my 4. I kind of realized that I've, like, very much sealed this game at this point, but I'm still going to play it and see what happens. Murkrow sets up Tailwind for Hitmontop to just click Mach Punch. And then I just go for Rock Slide Play Rough, just to get rid of the Murkrow, but I end up missing, which is honestly fine. The game is still, like, pretty much sealed. What I do here is I just kind of want to let Grimmsnarl frag as much as possible, so I play in a way that provides for that, because I think making Grimmsnarl be, like, top fragger is really funny. So, yeah, I just try to preserve Hisuian Arcanine. I take out Hitmontop, and instead of just, like, KOing with Hisuian Arcanine here, I go for a burn into Play Rough, just to stop whatever could potentially happen. He just goes for a Haze again. Like, he does know he's cooked, and admittedly, like, it's very tough to play when you don't have items, so I definitely don't blame him for what ended up happening. I do feel very bad, but let's skip ahead to when the team preview actually happens. Okay, so now with all the items on the Mons, now that I know what I'm getting into, I realize that I can pretty safely lock Poltergeist lead. I lean into Hippowdon and Poltergeist to kind of bluff Trick Room, but be able to click just like Shell Smash and Yawn, and basically force them to either pressure the Poltergeist turn 2 or switch out and allow me to baton pass into something. And so let's see how it goes. Going with these two, it's a Mimikyu and Metagross lead. I realize this is probably like to taunt me, but I know that in just about like any case, I will be faster and I will be able to get a Shell Smash off. While I won't be able to baton pass, I'll still be able to like +2, what is it, Shadow Ball into Metagross, which since it's not AV will do a ton. Muhammad ends up totally overthinking this because of my oppressive lead threatening something like a Trick Room, and I end up completely capitalizing off of it. I get him to reveal his Terra, I get to Shell Smash, I get to Yawn the Metagross while it doesn't protect, and take a massive lead off of turn 1. And while he does reveal Ice Punch Metagross, thankfully it doesn't freeze me. I get to Yawn. And then at this point, I just kind of make the double switch because I don't really see a way in which Hippowdon is good here. I end up switching Hippowdon into Crabominable, and I baton pass into Hisuian Arcanine. I know that there's going to be a Giga Drain probably directed towards, or any grass move directed towards the Hippowdon. So I want to just switch in something that can soak it, which is what AV Crabominable is capable of. So while they take a massive turn to reposition, I also get to do that. And I reveal all of my Mons, but I kind of put myself in a really good position here. So it's not as bad. So sending out Hisuian Arcanine, I also knew that I was going to be able to... Basically, the reason why I didn't just hard switch Hisuian Arcanine is because I wanted to intimidate whatever was going to come in and also soak up the Giga Drain. So being able to baton pass on like what came in, I could also even like switch Hippowdon back in. It gave me more flexibility with when I wanted to bring Hisuian Arcanine in. And then this turn, I just kind of... I wanted to break Mimikyu's Substitute and get some intel, so I was able to just click Knockoff onto the Mimikyu, and then I go for Flare Blitz into this slot. Thankfully, from earlier, I learned that it wasn't Flash Fire, so I didn't really have anything to lose from clicking Flare Blitz into that slot. And also the defense drop means that whatever I click next turn will knock it out, and even though it got +2 speed, I know my Hisuian Arcanine will outspeed it. And so I end up knocking off the Mimikyu. I reveal that it is Wide Lens, which admittedly is very fair given its set of like Will-O-Wisp, Play Rough, stuff like that. That was really cool on Muhammad's end. I like that a lot. But now I just kind of freely am able to go wild with this. I know that from the position that we're in right now, he's probably going to lean into Trick Room, as my Trick Room Sweeper is burnt, and my other mon is like super fast. So I go for Rock Slide, miss the Blossom. This turn is really funny. Ice Hammer misses Mimikyu, and then Mimikyu flinches. So, a lot of odds at play there. But that kind of sealed the game for me, I felt like. Because now as long as I could pressure the Mimikyu, it made it so that they can't really get in a position where they can beat the Hisuian Arcanine with the stats that it's at right now. So yeah, Muhammad's a good bit behind here. I think I have the freedom to just click Flare Blitz and like something like an Ice Hammer. But I get outsped by the Mimikyu, naturally, and Crabominable goes down. Thank you for your service. You sat there and you knocked off. That's all we could ask. Yeah, and then Poltergeist comes back out because even without like Shell Smash stuff, I can still threaten massive damage on the Mimikyu slot because it'll either stay in and die, switch into Armor Rouge and die, or become Metagross and take a good bit of damage. So I can basically just pin the two Mons on this side right now, no matter what happens. I go for the Flare Blitz, taking out Blossom. And then my cute little support Poltergeist starts doing damage. And it's not going to stop doing damage. Mimikyu goes down. And now it is a... what is it? 3v2 situation. Right here I kind of realize... yeah, I'm in a very good position. With how fast Poltergeist is, I figure I'm going to outspeed the Armor Rouge, so I can pretty freely just click Shadow Ball into it and get a Flare Blitz off into... No, I Protect, I'm lying. I end up Shadow Balling just to make sure it doesn't outspeed and Meteor Beam me, and I take out Armor Rouge. That's 2 KOs for Poltergeist. Hammer Arm goes into me. I end up, like, yeah, I Protect. Nothing that can really get done about that. And then Hammer Arm once again, I guess. And I just go for Terra Fairy, just in case I don't end up KOing. And Metagross ends up being faster. Given the set, though, that it's room service, like in hindsight, it probably won't be. But yeah, I end up getting the damage off. I proc my own Citrus Berry, which is definitely nice. And then my Shadow Ball comes in. And boom. My support Pivoter Poltergeist picks up 3 KOs that game. So Grimmsnarl took 3, Poltergeist took 3, and I'm pretty sure Hisuian Arcanine took 1 in both games. That was the set. And that was week 5. I hope that I can win games not off of technicalities. My set here and with the Rambunctious Reggies. I don't want to get put on Fraud Watch, so next week when we're going up against Alex in the Azalea Amphiroses, I'm going to have to bring my A game, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. But that's it for week 5. I hope you guys enjoyed, and take care.